And welcome back. You know, there was a big ruling in the United States Supreme Court this week, restricted affirmative action, federal regulations on affirmative action. People are going, what's going to impact Oklahoma? Well, Oklahoma's already done away with it back in 2012, but it makes for an interesting future for higher ed.
It does. My first concern was, will it affect the legacy scholarship programs and will it affect the institutional scholarship programs? Honestly, the one that concerns me the most is at Oklahoma State University. It is my university home and the preeminent land-grant institution in the nation. After reading some of the opinions, that will not be the course, and I support the opinion, as do 57% of Californians support the ban of affirmative action.
All right, so it's going to be interesting to see how this happens. Your thoughts, though, on what happened with the Supreme Court's historic ruling?
It is an unfortunate ruling. Standing here today as a first-generation college student, I'm Korean American. My mother's not even from this country. She doesn't have an American education. My father didn't go to college. And so to have various programs and policies in place to ensure people like me have access to a higher education is personally important and a value that I hold very closely and very dearly. My hope is that the state regents of higher education and our higher education institutions will continue to value and acknowledge the importance of diversity on our campuses across the state of Oklahoma and ensure access for all students regardless of who they are and their background. And I do have faith in our institutions to do that, and we'll make sure of it.
Okay, how about one more legal question? Okay, we're just turning into a legal show today. My thoughts are with this letter that the governor sent to the tribes dealing with the compacts. The tobacco compacts are not like the gaming compacts. They do expire, and it still sounds like that there's a lot of difference between the two sides.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. As you know, we're still in special session. We extended special session until July 31st, and so there's still work to be done on these two tribal compacts to extend them to 1 year, one on tobacco and then motor vehicle registrations and licensing. At the end of the day, we have to get this done. I've said this before on this show and previously, that Democrats and Republicans can work together on these issues. And again, as I said earlier, at the end of the day, we've got to stop the fighting between the state of Oklahoma and the tribal nations. They're ready to work together. They've said it time and time again, and this is one example of how they're trying to do that.
You bring up special session. So the Senate would like to kick out the deadline for a year. The House, 4 years, which conveniently would be for some folks after this governor's term ends. It's just very confusing.
Well, it is very confusing. I typically look at when we have an issue of a veto override as it's simply, I had really good teachers in high school and college when it came to civics and history. And this is just a battle of the executive branch versus the legislative branch. So when the majority of my colleagues say this is a measure that needs to become law, even if I voted against it in committee or I have voted against it on the House floor, if it is a veto override, I am typically going to side with the executive branch.
Okay, well then the siding is going to happen in the future. We've got a lot to talk about there. Hey, thanks for watching the legal edition of Your Vote Counts. See this again at news9.com/yourvotecounts and follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook at Mitchell Talks.